Where's my book?
The Higher View, welcome. It is Monday. And today is Education Healthcare Day. Today, really, I know Trish is amazing in regards to the whole education piece, but you guys, in so many facets, education and healthcare intertwine, go hand in hand. Got to have a healthy mind, healthy soul, a healthy environment, for a healthy education and for our children to get the most that they can. So today I'm really super excited. Trish has not just book experience, but personal experience in helping kids with challenges get to be successful adults. And isn't that what all of us want as parents, right? Like, the most amazing thing for us is to have our children grow up and be healthy, successful adults. And so Trish has her own personal story and experience with that, and as also an educator. So we're literally combining all this together. Of course, we have Dr. Ivy with us. Everybody knows how amazing she is, and love hearing all of her input and all that kind of good stuff. So Trish, welcome to the Higher View. So excited to have you here. Why don't you share with everybody a little bit about your testimony and your experience and what has launched you into what you're doing today?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. So I was already teaching for 14 years by the time my husband and I had kids. So I thought, oh, this will be a piece of cake. If there's one thing I know children, right? And I had taught all the grades from preschool and kindergarten. When I was going through college, I taught Montessori, and then I had taught all the grades because I love changing grades in elementary school and public school. So first through sixth grades, actually. And so I thought, oh, piece of cake, no problem. And then God gave us a couple of children who had special needs. And I just didn't see that coming. I mean, there was a genetic component on both sides of our family, but we didn't put those puzzle pieces together. And both kids ended up with attention issues, anxiety, auditory processing, just a lot of issues going in. And so I went on a quest because I already was dealing with these things with the children in my classroom. But when it hits home and it's your own children, wow, all of a sudden it's just, okay, I have to figure this out. This is my job. God made me responsible for these two little souls.
Yeah.
So I just studied everything I possibly could. And, as far as scientific studies and reading articles and talking to professionals and a lot of trial and error. So the things that we came up with, that Jackie Frischnecht and I came up with, the brain stages, how to raise smart, confident kids and have fun doing it, comes from both of us having decades of experience and both of us ending up with children who had certain kinds of special needs. Mm-hmm. And needing to address those things. And what's really exciting is after poring over all the latest brain research, now I know why all the stuff in my classroom, for the kids in my classroom, those hundreds of kids, as well as my own children, now the parents I coach and their families, I know why they work now. Before it was like, I'm not really sure, but this is what works. Just try it and see what you think. But now I know what's happening in the brain and why those things work, which is really exciting, all the research that's coming out now.
That is awesome. I want to get this book up here so people have a link. So it was Brain Stages, and then what was the whole title? Or is it just Brain Stages?
It's Brain Stages, How to Raise Smart, Confident Kids and Have Fun Doing It.
Okay, let me get that up. Brain Stages.
I'm a big believer in play. I'm not sure, is a platform this? Can we play a game real quick?
Hey, we're open with whatever Holy Spirit wants to do. We're always game.
Okay, that's awesome. So we're going to play a game called Add a Move, and we can just play it with the three of us, and because I can't see the other people who are on here. But it's called Add a Move. So I'm going to start. I'm going to make a move, and then let's say Dr. Ivy can go next. And so we'll do the move that I do, and then Ivy's move, and then it'll be your turn. And just so that parents can see, And I'll explain why we're doing this in a second. But this is I know it's such a simple game, but it's a magical game. Okay, let's start with, so you guys go ahead and do that move.
Okay.
And now Ivy, add another move.
I did.
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And you have to do one more.
You got to add a move, Melissa.
Oh, okay. So that type it.
Right. And right. So each time you do you do all 3 moves and you add one more. And the thing that's great about that is, first, if you have normal kids and everything is fine with them, it's a great game because it does all kinds of things for your brain. It works the memory centers of the brain, coordination, thinking centers, the sensory centers, so sensory and visual cortex, just so much of the brain. It exercises all those neural pathways, which is amazing. It's also great for all ages of kids. But the other thing that's really exciting is if you have a child who has problems with depression or anxiety or any kind of stress, you can immediately play that game. You get a little dopamine going in their brain because they're doing something, they're having fun, and that's the pleasure hormone that makes them open to, that makes them just more open to learning or doing anything. Right. And so you're switching them from the emotion centers, the limbic center in the brain, the amygdala, that thing, that fight or flight thing that, is supposed to protect us, but it, kind of messes us up a lot, especially if somebody has been through trauma, and transfers us, moves us right immediately into the thinking centers in the brain. Mm-hmm. So basically what it opens us up for being, right. And it's just this little game. I have one of my clients, her son has severe anxiety because he has what's called pandas. It's where, well, we won't go into that whole disease, but the point is he has huge problems with anxiety, and it's chemical, and they have him on medication, but it doesn't always work. So she doesn't even call this game add a move. She calls it this distraction game. Okay, we're going to do the distraction game. Let's start with, and he starts it, and then they add moves, and it just calms him down because it gets him out of those emotion centers and into the thinking centers in his brain. I mean, I didn't know why that worked when I had my classroom or my own children, but I just knew every time I did it. And from the time they were tiny to even being adults, and even, and it's funny, just the moves get more complicated and silly and whatever as kids get older. You can play it at any age because they adjust to whatever is exciting for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was going to tell Melissa she could use the add a move game before she responded on social media.
Right. You're reading my mind. I'm literally going, so does it work with adults too? Because I think our board meetings are going to start with that.
You know what? It really does. And actually, so I'm doing this 6-module digital course. I used to call it a 6-week course. It turns out you can't really do it in 6. I mean, well, you can do it in 6 weeks, but there's a lot of information and tools for parents to practice. So, but there are 12 games that have no, that are just like add a move. They don't have any physical equipment or anything, and they're all things you can do to do that very thing, to transfer from the emotion centers of the brain into the thinking centers.
That is awesome. That is so awesome.
Can you hear me, by the way? Because I just realized I don't have my special mic in.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a kind of echo to it, but not that bad.
You know what? I thought I was all like put together for this time.
Gotta love it. Gotta love tech.
So yeah, I was definitely one of those people who was pivoting, learning how to do things online, because everything I used to do was live. So we're still working on this whole, okay, we're going to get it done virtually, but it's been exciting because I've been able to get to know so many people across the country, like Dr. Ivy recently, but a lot of parents and just all kinds of people that I would have met otherwise. So anyway, is that better?
You probably will have to switch your, if you put on a new mic, you'll probably have to go down to the bottom of the screen and switch your, which mic that StreamYard's going to connect to. So in the season right now, I mean, so many kids are dealing with so much anxiety because of all of the changes. I'm sure probably picking up on a lot of anxiety from their parents who are, you know, homeschooling for the first time and stuff like that.
Well, and trying to support their families at home while they have their kids.
Yeah. So what would you speak into that situation right now? Because I mean, granted, I know that you had, you know, quote unquote special needs kids, but I'm thinking like all the kids across America right now have special needs.
Well,
you know, I mean, not trying to throw that term around loosely, but unique needs, you know, that weren't there before, and it's creating a lot of dysfunction. We can't hear you. You're on mute. Let me.
Here I was trying to make it better, and I think I made it worse. Maybe that's why. Okay. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, we can. You're fine.
Oh, and now I can't hear you.
That was really good, though.
Yeah, I know that last statement.
No, we can't hear you anymore, Trish. Yeah, there you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Every time I put in a microphone, it mutes it, and then I can't hear you.
Yeah, and I would just leave it like it is and go ahead and answer.
We're fine. We're fine.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, sorry about that. So, so basically, there are all kinds of challenges happening now, and I think that one of the biggest, most advantageous things we can do with kids is play with them and give them things to do that they can play. Like, for example, on thebrainstages.com website, I have 12 games or something in different blog posts that are minimal amounts of materials to use, because like a family timeline. So they get all kinds of math. They learn about their families. They learn a certain amount about history, all in the form of a game.
Oh, wow.
You understand what I'm saying? So I really feel like if we play with kids and we do things in the form of a game, it reduces not only their stress, but our stress. Mm-hmm. Because I think people are really struggling with the stress factor.
Yeah.
And when they do something like family timeline, it takes them a couple hours. So the parents get a couple hours break. And a lot of the games are like that too, that they can do on their own.
Okay, so it's is online based, that the kids actually do online?
Actually, they're actual games that once you tell them how to play and set it up, that they can play on their own.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Because yes, there are all kinds of online things that are going on, but parents are having a hard time monitoring how much screen time their kids are playing games or whatever.
Right.
And screen time, there are advantages to screen time, and kids can learn amazing things. There are such amazing programs and games and learning opportunities for kids online now. But you have to really do your homework and figure out what those things are, because there are also a lot of games and whatever that if they're just going to play games and they do that for about 2 hours a day, scientists figure 2 hours is fairly safe. But more than that, we're finding all kinds of physical brain changes that are happening with kids who are spending much time on their screens. And there's actually an addiction factor, because although dopamine is great, that's the pleasure hormone. What happens is with video games, or like any drug, any addiction, there's this over release of dopamine that, you know, people want more and more of, and before they know it, they're addicted. So there are kids who are literally physically addicted to screen time. So it's a balance like anything else.
Yeah. So what for the parents out there that are dealing with that? I mean, now they've had, children at home since March, and probably a lot of them building on that screen time addiction. How do you deal with that?
So basically, what I tell people, your best friend is a timer. So there's a whole thing in the course about sitting down with kids and doing problem solving. In a nutshell, basically sitting down with the kids and saying, okay, this is what's going on. I watched this program today and I found out that watching too much video games, more than about 2 hours a day, isn't healthy for your brain. And it's really important for us to keep your brain healthy through this whole pandemic crazy thing that we're going through. So let's talk about what we can do to set it up so that you have a safe time, so that you get your screen time and you have a safe amount of time that you can be on your screen during the day. And then let's set up some other specific things that we can do for you to have a good time and keep learning and do some problem solving with your kids. And kids, even little, like to be involved in the problem solving process and coming up with ideas together. And I will say, not about the plug for the book, just the book is easier. That Brain Stage is a kindergarten through 5th grade guide through elementary school. So if you have elementary school kids, you can look in there, okay, this is kind of where brain development is for 5 and 6 year olds. This is kind of what's going on with them. This is what the tendencies are socially, although all kids are different, right? But this is what the tendencies are socially. And these are all the things that they're supposed to learn. There's a whole list of things that they're supposed to learn in kindergarten that I used multiple resources for that. So the Common Core, but also like 12 resources of what's healthy, what's good for kids to learn in kindergarten. And then there are a whole bunch of games to play for the kids to learn all those skills. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? So it's an easy, I mean, you can look all that stuff up separately online. It just takes a lot longer.
Right. Yeah.
But
she's done all the work for you.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and if you have a 2nd grader and you look and you go, wow, they can't do this, this, and this. And then you look in the 1st grade skills and you figure out what they're missing. I mean, This actually could be a golden opportunity for parents because you don't necessarily know exactly where your kids are. And a lot of schools, they'll say, oh, like I have one of my other clients for years, they were saying, oh, your son is so sweet. He's so nice. And he's fine academically. And it turns out he was way below in reading and math and, just all kinds of things. Mm-hmm. But he was such a nice child that she didn't even really realize how far behind he was.
Wow.
And now, during this time, she's like, oh, so this is where he is, his brain development. And these are the things he's supposed to know. And he doesn't know those things. So they're playing a lot of games in the Brain Stages book. And they're looking for things online that teach those specific things. And they're actually filling in a lot of those gaps. So when he goes back to live school, he's going to be in way better shape than he ever would have been before. I mean, this has actually been an opportunity for them. And she's a full-time working mom. So it's not like she's having to spend all the time. It's, here are games to play, here are things to go on online. And she kind of gives him things to do to fill in those gaps to make sure that he's learning what he needs to be learning. And he actually is having fun. I mean, he didn't like going to school before. And now he's kind of excited to go back and he's excited to learn.
Yeah.
You get the idea. So this can't, obstacle or opportunity, right?
Right.
And the Lord usually provides opportunities for us when we run into obstacles, depending on what they are. But this really can be an opportunity for parents.
Yeah, and if anybody that listens or is listening now or is on the replay, it's a great, and you're new to homeschooling, so a lot of people are new to homeschooling. So the book really serves as a kind of a gauge, like you say, you already basically have your outline of what you need to do. So then all you have to do is go find whatever activities or coursework to fit in. So she's kind of provided a framework of sorts in the book, especially, like I said, like she said, for kids K to 5. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
So now she needs to do junior high and high school.
Oh, I'm sorry, Melissa. Say it again.
I said, now you just need to do the junior high and high school books. Come on.
Yeah, I'm working on this digital course first. I call it the Brain Stages Parent Empowerment Journey for parents who are raising children who have challenges, because so many of the games and activities and everything can be applied to all different ages, especially games like Add a Move, or there's a game in there called Buzz, where you go around the room, however many people you have, from 2 to however many players, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, buzz, and all the sevens and multiples of sevens, you say buzz, and they start out counting on their fingers, and and all of that, but eventually it gets so it just starts speeding up their brains and connecting those neural pathways, and it's amazing what happens as a result of playing some of these games. So this is for kindergarten through 5th grade, and eventually I'll do a middle school book, but the digital course applies to all ages, from preschool all the way up through high school, because they're basic brain development and communication skills, different ways to talk to kids. And for example, okay, so for a long time, especially being a teacher, I was always asking questions, right? But it turns out that kids don't respond as well asking questions. If you say to a child, well, how was your day? That's a big question for a kid, because a lot of things happen that day. Yeah. Whereas if you say, wow, when they come in the door, wow, it's really good to see you, a lot of times they'll just start talking. Or if they don't, you can ask a specific question like, what was math like today? Did you like it? You didn't like it?
Right.
What's going on? And when we don't understand something, instead of asking a question, it works so much better to say, I'm not sure I understand yet. Tell me more about that. And then kids will feel more comfortable talking, because a lot of times when we ask them questions, they feel on the spot.
Yeah.
And I thought, for me, sometimes I feel on the spot when people ask, you know what I'm saying? So, just little things like that. There are a whole bunch of things like that in the course that apply to all ages.
Yeah, so good. So I have a question, something you mentioned earlier in talking about, screen time and stuff. And now we have kids going to school online. So they're online for 8 hours, or however long. And just curious from both of you, your thoughts on that. I know when my oldest was in high school, he went to a charter school that was actually sponsored through, I believe it was Apple. And so all of the kids were, assigned laptops and, MacBooks. No more books. There was no textbooks. Everything was on the computer. And, of course, we just thought that was, the coolest, latest thing. And of course I know they've moved a lot of them to like iPad type things and all that stuff. But so how is that working out? And is that still considered that 2-hour screen time, and what's that doing to the brain? And I know, since you brought that up, I know there's parents out there that are going, now what?
So I'm referring more to like screen time as far as playing certain games or whatever. I'm talking about the dopamine release that's being caused playing video games. Okay. So, and it can be any kind of games. But as far as like typing out reports or that kind of thing, I mean, it's hard on your eyes. They should be looking from the screen, out from the screen and out to allow their eyes to adjust, because we're finding a big change in kids' eyesight as a result of spending a lot of time on screens. But I'm talking more about the games.
Okay.
Connecting for no more than 2 hours a day.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of the limit for the games, but not for schooling, because you're right. A lot of schools now, even, whether they're charter or private, or a lot of them are almost 100% using screens because they're practical. And it's interesting because the science says that kids still do better, and adults do better with print books. Although as we're doing more and more electronics, that gap is closing a bit, but still the comprehension has been recorded to still be better using print versus electronic.
Yeah, I just thought I was old school, but like having a Kindle versus a paper book, I literally will absorb it totally, totally different.
And the science supports that because it's physical as well as, because you have a physical thing, so you're combining more of, because your brain's all interconnected. So you're using more of your brain because you're using the touch mechanisms, and there's just a whole different experience with print.
Yeah, and people like my husband,
because you have a lot of research in this as well, right?
Well, no, I mean, we're getting near the end, but I mean, I'm thinking of the teacher. I don't know how teachers are going to manage a classroom with 30 faces, however many faces there are. They're going to have to, can you imagine? And then I have my daughter who's going to have 3 kids sitting at the table trying to do each of their classes. Because anyway, so yeah, I'm not sure how this is all going to work out, but we'll write about it in a few years.
Isn't that true?
Yeah, hopefully all the researchers, educational researchers are on top of this and diving in and developing research quicker than the COVID vaccine researchers, because we are so going to need to understand what's going on with the education of our children and how that is forming our future. But on your book, Trish, where can people find it? Is it on the Brain Stages? Is it on Amazon? Where can they get a hold of that?
They can go pretty much anywhere. It's on Amazon, just Brain Stages, Patricia Wilkinson. If you look up Brain Stages, Patricia Wilkinson, you'll find it.
Okay.
And also on my website at thebrainstages.com.
Okay.
The digital course. Oh, and I wanted to offer 50% off to anybody who would like to join the digital course, because we're finishing. It's 6 modules, so you can do it anywhere from 6 weeks to 6 months, depending on what your family is, and just get a whole bunch of really practical tools. Because I feel like we're so philosophical with parents. In fact, do you want me to get you the link to put in the chat?
Yes, I do.
Anyway, but yeah, you can get the book on Amazon is probably the easiest, or on my website. If you go on my website, thebrainstages.com, there are all kinds of really cool free games and stuff, all kinds of free resources.
So is there a coupon code for the 50% off, or?
It may just come up. So for the first 100 people, I think it is, it'll just register the half off. So it's.
Oh, okay.
Or they can, and if it doesn't come up that way, they can just put half off, all caps, in the coupon code.
Okay. Do you want her just to post something under the interview, Melissa?
Yeah, we can do that. I'm typing this in the chat.
Okay.
So
Okay.
here's the coupon code.
While you guys are typing, I'm just going to say this is a great opportunity. You know what I mean? So I don't think we depend on the education system, for our answers. This is the time to take personal responsibility and take back.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I got that, grabbed that, put that in the link, so everybody will have that. That's awesome. So as we're kind of wrapping all of this up, what would be your top tip right now for parents that have kids with special needs, in being able to, besides you said the add a move to kind of bring them in to be able to refocus them. What would be your top, I want to say 3 tips, but I don't know if we have enough time, for parents to be able to do today, it's Monday. A lot of students are starting school today in different places, at home, at their kitchen table, and you've got mamas that are wanting to pull their hair out. What's your top thing that mama can do right now?
So the first thing is for them to play a game like Add a Move. The second thing, I mean, because that will release a lot of tension for everyone and help them reboot their brains.
And how long do you do that? Like, how many moves do you add? Is it age? You know, like, do you just keep going and see how long you can go?
Yeah, it isn't that scientific. Usually you can tell when kids are ready. You always want to leave them having more. And it's like that in any game. You always want to go, okay, we got to get back to work when they're like, oh, just one more, because you want to leave the kids having more. So just do a few moves, reboot them. The other thing that's really great is if you have a jump rope around, or you just get them up and go, okay, we're going to do a physical break, and have them stand up and do something physical, because we don't have time to go into it, but there are all kinds of things that happen as a result of that, to be able to reboot their brains, to be able to think, and to start getting the dopamine going, and just literally regrouping. Another thing is, so many kids run around dehydrated. They have not had enough water. And a lot of times if your child gets grumpy or tired or whatever, have them get up physically, get out of their seat, go get a glass of water and drink the whole thing, and then go back and sit down. So those are the three things. Play and move, distract them, do something physical, like have a jump rope around, and maybe how many times can you jump in a minute, and time it. Because that does so many great things for the brain, to reboot them and to just make it more fun, and to get up and go get a drink of water several times during the day. Because one, they get to physically get up and move, which is helpful for them. And the other thing is, most of us don't have enough water, and our brains are close to 75% water. Yeah. So if we don't have enough water, they're not working properly. It's like, running a car that's almost out of gas.
Right. So good. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And I'm going to, add to those tips is go on the website, grab this course, you guys, grab that book. We need those resources, and why be scrambling, trying to figure it all out on your own? If somebody's already created the wheel, just go grab the wheel, stick it on your car. So, and 50% off. Come on, you guys, that's absolutely amazing. So jump on there and grab that before that goes away. Us as parents, we need all the tools that we can get to help our children become amazing adults. And, Trish has done it. She's a walking testimony of it. And so, we trust following her lead. I just want to encourage you in that. And so, Trish, thanks so much. And if you wouldn't mind praying us out and just blessing all of those moms and dads out there that they can do this. They can do this.
They can totally do this. Okay. Father God, thank you so much for this opportunity to talk to these parents today who you know and believe in, who are your sons and daughters. Thank you so much for their desire to help their children and focus in and hone in on their children's needs and on their own needs, Father. I just lift them up to you in this difficult time where they're homeschooling their children. And I just pray that you will give them confidence and let them know that you are with them every step of the way, Lord, that you are going to create so much beauty from these ashes, and help them, Lord, see this difficult situation as an opportunity rather than an obstacle, because we know that you make beauty from the ashes, Lord, that you are just our creator and friend, and thank you so much for your grace. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Awesome. Thank you, Trish. And THV Nation, we will see you tomorrow.